Readings on Literature, A05, The Bride's Pajamas. Now, this particular lesson is by Akhtar Mohyuddin, who is a Kashmiri short story writer. This particular story was written in the 1990s, which was a period of turmoil for Kashmiri people. Despite this war-torn climate, the story takes a break from the serious issues of the time and deals with a love story between an old man, Nabir Shala, and his wife, Kotan Didi. The story actually focuses on the permanence of love. It also takes our attention to the hypocrisies of the societies and its treatment towards older people. Nabir Shala is a person, an old man who repairs clothes. The couple had lost 8 of their 10 children in their infancy. But away from the tragedies of life and other geriatric concerns, the old couple is so full of love and makes their time on earth count. The sight of the rose-red pajamas give them a chance to refresh their memory and bring back the fresh old days, and they dance to the memories of that wedding day. So we're going into the text. The text is found on page 51, and we find Nabir Shala, the shawl maker, who is 70, which means he is 70 years old. He owns a ramshackle house, and we see Nabir Shala singing his favorite rhyme, "She brought me a goblet of wine and took my breath away." Nabir Shala would always sing this particular rhyme, and also another song that he recited in and out. "Her skin is as smooth as a ripened peach. O God, keep her safe from the world's gaze." So he, being a shawl maker, most of his time was spent on the veranda, and these were the two rhymes that he would always recite. "She brought me a goblet of wine and took my breath away, and her skin is as smooth as a ripened peach. O God, keep her safe from the world's gaze." As we move on, we find that Nabir Shala, in spite of a slight possibly Parkinsonian disease, he is still able to make a living. The customers flock to him because he's an expert at the job, and he's better than most other people. He lives in this ramshackle house, and his wife Kotan Didi every day would gently press his back, caress away his day's fatigue, fill his plate full of hot rice, fill his hookah, and she would sit in front of him spinning cotton at her wheel. And Nabir Shala would sometimes make a sly comment, "You be the apprentice and I the master." Pricked by the remark, Khotan Didi would say, "Why should I be the apprentice? Why not you?" So this sort of amorous love between these two couples can be seen here. And Khotan Didi is now old. She is close to 20 years since she had her last child, and although she had had about 10 children, none of them survived except 2 daughters. And Khotan Didi had only one regret, that none of her sons lived long enough. Whatever it is, both of them were happy, and Nabir Shala was at his work while Khotan Didi was spinning cotton for the fabric of the carpet. And so he had just finished darning a patch, and at that time when he wanted her to bring a scissors, she got up, and when she went to the shelf, she found the rose-red pajamas. These were the pajamas that she had worn on the marriage day a long time ago. And she suddenly remembered the memories of her youth, how happy she was, and how she had danced, and how she had come in this red, rose red pajamas, while Nabir Shala was a young man, and he, with his pashmina chadar and his turban of fine brand of muslin, was was so beautiful that both of them was an ideal pair. So these were the same pajamas that she had worn on her marriage day. And it was at that time when Nabir Shala saw this and told Khotan Devi, why don't you hesitate? Why do you hesitate? Put on the pajamas. You are a nice woman, so why don't you put on those pajamas? But now they are old, and she is really not able to slip on the pajamas. You're a big fool, said his wife irritably. But why? Khotan Didi sat quiet and motionless. It was not easy for her to make free movements of her body. It was not very easy for her to, put on these pajamas. And Nabir Shala kept on telling her, aren't you, why don't you put on those pajamas? And Khotan Didi says, aren't you ashamed yourself at your age behaving like a monkey? Ashamed? Aren't we man and wife? Khotan tried to change the conversation. So Nabir Shala was about to make mutton, and he still insisted that Khotan Didi put on the red pajamas. And so slowly, very timidly, Khotan Didi shut and bolted the door, and she put on the pajamas. And as Nabir Shala was making up the mutton, and Khotan Didi came into the room, and unfortunately she fell down, and Nabir Shala was surprised, or gave a cry and said, you aren't hurt, I suppose? She said, no, I'm not. Well, then get up. And he insisted Khotan Didi should stand up in her pajamas. She tried to resist, but was on the warpath. He seized her and pulled her up like one possessed, and began to tease her amorously like a newlywed. And Nabir Shala was so happy to see her in the red pajamas. Although she was an aged woman and she had grandchildren, Nabir Shala forgot all those, and Nabir Shala tugged at her sleeve, and and sort of danced with her. And it was suddenly that there was a knock on the door, and whom did they find? They found that the eldest son-in-law had just come into the room, and he was watching their amorous antics, the way that both of them were sort of dancing. And at that time, Khotan Didi was covered herself in shame that she was caught red-handed like this with these red pajamas that she had worn during her marriage. At that time, she looked guiltily at her husband, and Nabir Shala said, why do you look so guilty? But why? Isn't this our home? And a man is a prince in his own home, isn't he? So why do you worry? You are my wife. You are my darling. You have been with me for all these years. And so why shouldn't this romance continue? Why do you look so guilty? But why? Isn't this our home? A man is a prince in his own home, isn't he? And thus the amorous story ends. This short story was translated from the original Kashmiri by Motilal Raina. And please do subscribe so that I'll be able to send you more videos like this. And please do tell your friends and ask them to comment also, so that I will be able to send better and better videos like this. Thank you very much for watching.